in 2030, because we're talking about the SDGs to be achieved by 30 this time. Therefore, we have shown a few years on the line. So here, proportion of small scale industries with a loan or credit line, you can see from 20% to 30%. That has been the target. Okay, one example. Research and development from 0.3% in 2015 to 1.5% investment. So researchers from 6.1 researchers per million inhabitants. And that also customized here, like researchers enrolled in science and technology in proportion to total enrollments. So that data is there from 6.1 to 6.8 to 15. Number of patents registered in technologies and industries in C. So from 75 to 1,000 total. These are the targets, let's say. So no need to talk a lot about the objectives. We want to know what indicators, what targets, what goals have been set, and what targets have been given there, and what indicators have been taken into consideration. Then this was the methodology. We have rather dependent on literature, especially SDG reports and government reports, and some indexes as well. Now, a few preliminary results. Let's talk about that. And then these things will visualize the gaps. The results will visualize the gap. So I was talking about Nepal's performance on the SDG. Nepal is ranked 98th with the overall score 66.18% only. So let's talk about this SDG 9.31. The proportion of small scale industry value addition stands 35.60% till 2022, and increasing access to financial service and markets. So that is the access of the small scale industries. In line of the credit, you can see that 60% SMEs, small industries, I would say, small enterprises, they have not taken the loan. They are not on that. And the other percents, 34% are having loan. Commitment is 1% having loan. And so in line of the credit, only 5%. So there is a gap. Access to finance. Loan is not something that we should understand and interpret negatively. Loan is a backup, let's say, storage and backup source for the capital injection. So enhance research and upgrade industrial technology. Research and development expense as a proportion of GDP. The global is 1.93%. Nepal has, come on this 0.54 only till 2022. And India, it is also very low. Around, I guess, it is 0.7+% this time, or 8, nearly reaching 8. So enhance the research and upgrade industrial technologies. That was the target. 359 people, persona, let's say, out of 1 million are the researchers in Nepal. So that's quite interesting. Only these people will be involved in the research and are the researchers, and the rest of the people are not researchers. That means. So support of the domestic technology, supporting that is development and industrial diversification. So there you can see 8.6 to starting from 2070. It is a BS. We actually follow Bikram Sambat. In Bikram Sambat 2070, there's a this time we have 2080 Bikram Sambat, whereas it is 2023 AD. So we started with the 8.6 and we have come down to 8.6 only. That means it has remained constant, and I don't know between this 76 and 77, most probably due to COVID or something like that, it has gone down to 8.55. So universal access to information and communication technologies. Proportion of the population which is covered by mobile networks in Nepal, it is 59.56 people out of 100 inhabitants. So the same is the case with the internet. We are in the yellow lines. So the global breaking point is 150.61, whereas we are 178. Now, just these are the data, and there are lots of other data too, and the research is yet to be completed. So what the summaries are there? Let's say we have summarized from the proportion of small scale industries in total industry value. With the result given, significant challenge remains here. You got 35.60% only. Now the proportion of small scale industries with a loan, challenges remain. Having loan and not having loan. And the research and development, major challenges remain. We are very poor in research and development, and we're talking about growth, resilience, and sustainability. Examples of European countries, examples of American countries, and Central Europe, Northern Europe, how they are very much, they have taken aggressive move on the research. Researchers in full-time equivalent per million inhabitants, also major challenge. 359 people out of a million. That's something ridiculous. Something that academia also need to think about. Are we producing researchers or producing the people who are merely replicating the answer to the questions in the textbooks? That's very important. So proportion of the medium and high-tech industry, which is also major challenge, 8.6% only. Mobile phone subscriptions by the countries, few challenges remain there. So internet users, challenges remain there. Now, based on the challenges, based on the results and the challenges, or due to the gaps. So I have these questions. I'm not trying to answer, I said in a deterministic way, but it is the scholarly communities, knowledge communities, and also policymakers, and also people in the governance system, politics, and all the stakeholders, even the practitioners. So even employers and those who are pursuing the employment. All I have to think about now. These questions. How are the small, medium-sized enterprise being supported to ensure the contribution to the economic growth? Because growth will come from economic growth, of course. So that will also happen from job creation. That's one question. So it could be, Nepal could be an interesting point, even for our scholars in India, and of course in South Asia and other economies, due to global, concept of global village. We are working on that concept. We are working on that model. We are free democracies, federal democracies. Inclusions are being talked about. Empowerments are being talked about. And then that's why these questions are very important now. How empowerments come? Not only from the freedom of speaking. Empowerments come from the empowerment, capital empowerment. And then access to capital, access to finance, access to resources, access to opportunities. And for that, collective efforts and lots of things are needed there. So how these questions need to be specifically focused on, coming from based on our results, based on our data. What measures are in place to promote research and development, and how is this contributing to economic growth in Nepal? We are still till date, if I have to say, I'm a little bit in this research kind of thing, um, working with the different agencies, institutes in Nepal, and also some funding agencies as well. So we have seen that the things are happening till date for the sake of formalities. We are becoming more oriented on research, which is like a verification kind of research, not not inventive research, not innovative research. Research has to be reshaped, redesigned for innovation, for creativity and innovation. That's something we have to talk about. I think this question is very important. So what are the opportunities and the challenges of efficient implements SDGs? 9 number, especially innovation, sustainable industrialization, and innovation. So sustainable industrialization is not going to come so long as we are rather dependent on the imported technologies only. We need our technologies here. We have the resources with us, but coming out of the box and reflectivity and an attitude to re-investigate. Let's say introspection is very important. And that will, of course, make us a bit critical and collaborative and communicative and also creative. So then innovation is there. So what partnerships exist between the government, private sector, civil society? I also would like to add on this, like what partnerships now exist between between these players and also uh, regional players and also transnational players, then international players, then global players, let's say. So just a few solutions. These are not my solutions. I have consulted a few, scholars. So according to Grafton, for example, what we need is now planning. I would call it replanning, adaptation for transformation. So adapting to is very important. First of all, we need to adapt to the context we are working for and the context that we're confronting with. That's important. The contexts are very much emerging, technologically emerging, especially, and financially emerging. Even now, when at this verge of time, our youth have their brain is not indigenous. Their brain is now AI oriented. So adaptation has to be done accordingly for the brain of the youth, which is new, and then only transformation will happen, and that will lead to transformative actions. For critical factors shaping the characteristics of social ecologic systems, I would like to say social economic system, social ecologic system. So resilience thinking, what type of thinking it has to be now? It has to be rethought. And this has to be an open thinking to changes and uncertainties. We are living in the world of the certainty, I guess, until this interception of digitalization happened and we confronted. Most probably back in the 1950s and until 1970s and 80s. But after 1980s onwards, 1990s and at the turn of the millennium, things have all of a sudden, abruptly, I would say, things have changed. So things have now, everything's so much virtual that we cannot say where we're going now. So, okay. So answer, which superiority in continuously changing world? The world is changing very fast. So I remember here one author, where are we heading was one write-up, one essay I had a chance to read sometimes back, and that is reminding me, where are we heading is very much uncertain. And to cope with that uncertainty, we need the technologies, new technologies, new intelligences, and lots of new intelligences, not only artificial intelligences, but also emotional intelligences, collaborative intelligences, humanistic intelligences too, is something, spiritualism that is connected with that. So resilience thinking is to result from, next point is very important, building the nexus is very important now between the discourses and the real practices. So what in real time context, I mean that. So who should take a lead is education sector has to take a lead now. How will that happen? So I've articulated one very simple concept here. Educational process, irrespective of what educational process that is, formal, informal, higher, tertiary, what, university, even school to university or beyond, that has to be remodeled now. And remodeling should happen by connecting education curricula with the corporate ecosystem. That scheme, there are lots of schemes on that, and it will bring entrepreneurial orientation, EO. Learning orientation will happen when there is entrepreneurial mindset. We can create the entrepreneurial mindset. Of course, that will lead to learning orientation, and finally, innovation will be the result. So, innovation is very important today because of the diversification ways is too expanded and too much out-stressed and too much unlimited and too broad. So, but the last, my conclusion is let's prioritize, and this is a suggestion. We have to prioritize the use of local knowledge, of course. It should not be devalued. No matter we are preparing ourselves for any global economy and to serve at any global front. But the local knowledge, if we can carry along with us, if we can invent it, if we can explore it, there is lot use local knowledge. Which country it is? Every country has its own knowledge communities, and of course indigenous communities, and of course local communities from where the knowledge is to be incepted. It has to be identified, it has to be recognized and legitimized too. So this local knowledge should be mediated. Now mediation is needed. Change shall come only when we know how to mediate the change players, the change sources, and change devices, of course. So for that, we need the shared efforts. That shall happen in the collaboration only. In 21st century and beyond, collaborations cannot be replaced. Collaborations have to be redefined on a mutual basis with the external actors, actions, and cultures. So then only, and this, for example, talking about us as developing countries in South Asia or in Asian context, we have to talk about the transnational relations. So what we need is a little bit of the, I would like to borrow it from the thinking of the EU kind of pattern. Like how they, what was the assumption with them when they started with the EU concept, EU model, and how they are progressing. And of course, they are working and their performance in this for the growth, resilience, and sustainability is much better till date by data. I don't know, realities by data. So this could be the solution, I think, for this sustainability, for growth, sustainability, and resilience and sustainability. So bouncing back to humanity is very important. That would be the message of this research. So I can open the floor for question or
any question from any who have joined this session. Any question from anybody? Any researcher? I think there have been over